Hey everyone, so thanks for joining our first day of online math instruction. Today our assignment is lesson 21, independent practice. If you have your paper copy that you're following along with, this is pages 220 through 221. When I hold up the yellow pause, you can stop the video, record your answers, catch up on notes, and then unpause it and the video will continue to the next problem. So our assignment today is lesson 21, independent practice, page 220 through 221. On your assignment, this is what it's going to look like. If I have anything I added on here, it will be in green. I'm not going to read everything I added. If you pause the video and you need more of an explanation, then you can read through that when you pause it. So our first problem is how many grams are equivalent to 75 kilograms? So I marked up this question using our cube strategy. I circled 75 as our key number. I underlined how many grams because that is our question, and I boxed in the word equivalent. Equivalent in math means equal to, so I'm trying to find how many grams are equal to 75 kilograms. So when I set this up as a problem, I know 1 kilogram is equal to 1,000 grams, so I'm going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, and I'm going to multiply. Setting this up, I'm going to start with the 75, and I'm going to multiply that by 1,000. To get my answer. In this case, the answer is 75,000. So there are 75,000 grams in 75 kilograms. Remember, you can also use the power of 10 rule when you multiply. You can pause the video now. For number 2, it says, how many yards and feet are equivalent to 10,000 feet? So for this one, I underlined how many yards and feet because I know that's what it's asking us to find. I boxed in the word equivalent because that means equal to, and I circled 10,000 feet because that is our key number. So for the first part here, I'm trying to go from feet to yards. Feet are smaller than yards, so we're going to be dividing. I'm dividing the number of feet by the number of feet in just 1 yard. To give me the total number of yards. So for this one, I'm taking 10,000, that's our total number of feet, and I'm dividing by 3. If you do this on your calculator, I'm going to pull up my calculator right now. I would punch in 10,000 divided by 3, and this is what I get for an answer. I get 3,333.33 repeating. It fills up my whole calculator screen. This is what my answer is. So when I look at this, I know right away just looking at our answers on this side, I know that it's not going to be 30,000 and it's not going to be 227. So I would cross those off right away. I know that those are not my answer. So then the only 2 options I have left is 3,333 yards in 0 feet or 3,333 yards in 1 feet. Just looking at my calculator screen, I know that because I have a decimal, that means it did not fit perfectly. So looking at that, I can assume that it's not going to be 0 feet. Because if it was 0 feet, our answer would just be 3,333. However, if I wanted to prove this, this is what I would do. Over here you can see what I did was I took the number of feet, so I just calculated the 3,333 yards, and I'm bringing that back to feet, and then I'm subtracting that from our total. So the total here that I would get once I subtracted that was, once I subtracted 10,000 minus 9,999, I got 1. So you can pause and record your answer as 3,333 yards in 1 feet. Our next problem on the notes packet would look like this. It's going to look different on Google Drive because I split this into 3 chunks. So for this first one, we're selecting all boxes that are equal to 1 gallon. To make this easier, I brought over that visual chart I used the other day. So I'm just going to work left to right. Half a quart. I can look at my picture and I see that there are 4 quarts in 1 gallon, so I'm crossing that off. That is not one of my answers. It is not equal to a gallon. 4 pints, I can see that 1, 2, 3, 4 pints is only equal to half a gallon, so I'm crossing that off as well. 16 cups. If I look at this picture and I counted up each one of those letter C's to show how many cups are in 1 gallon, I would actually get 16. So I'm going to put a check mark by that because 16 cups is equal to 1 gallon. Then if I look at 1/4 of a gallon, just saying that out loud, you guys can hear that 1/4 of a gallon is not equal to 1 gallon. It just doesn't make any sense. We're going to cross that off. And then it says 8 pints. So when I look at this, I can see that there are 1, 2, 3, 4 pints in half a gallon. 4 plus 4 is 8. So yes, there are 8 pints in 1 gallon. So your 2 correct answers for this one are 16 cups and 8 pints. You can pause the video and record that now. The next problem is working with the same kind of situation. Now we're figuring out which of those measurements is equal to 1 quart. So just looking at this now, I can already cross off 16 cups and 8 pints. Because if those 2 measurements were equal to 1 gallon, then I know that they're not going to be equal to 1 quart. Then I'm going to work left to right. I know half a quart is not equal to 1 quart, so I can cross that off. Then it says 4 pints. I can see on my picture that 2 pints are equal to 1 quart, so I'm going to cross that off as well. That is not equal to 1 quart. So then it says 1/4 of a gallon. To find out if 1 quart is 1/4 of a gallon, I have to see how many quarts are in a gallon. I can see that there are 4 quarts in 1 gallon, so if I take just one of those, it is equal to 1/4. So our answer for this one is 1/4 gallon. You can pause in your video, and record that now. Our next problem, it says select the boxes that are equal to 1 pint. So when I'm looking at this, I'm already going to start by crossing off the ones we've already figured out. I'm crossing off 16 cups, 1/4 gallon, and 8 pints because I know that those are equal to other measurements and they're not going to be equal to 1 pint. So now I'm looking at what we have left. I see that the second one says 4 pints. Well, just saying that, I know 4 pints is not equal to 1 pint, so I'm going to cross that off. And then I'm just going to double check. Is half of a quart equal to 1 pint? If I look back on my picture, so I'm going to go back to the other one, I can see that there are 2 pints in 1 quart. So 1 pint would be 1/2 or 1 out of 2. So that is equal to that. So our answer for this one is 1/2 quart. You can pause your video and record that now. Alright guys, so now we're on number 4 on the packet. If you're following along, this is what it would normally look like in the packet, but I'm making this simpler for you. I'm giving you 2 of the answers. I'm giving you 3 kilometers and 30 meters. Those are the 2 units we're going to be starting with. So for the first problem, it says, which measurement is equal to 3 kilometers? I took my chart, I marked only the measurements I would need. I know I'm going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, so I'm going to multiply. So when I set this up, I'm going to take 3 kilometers times 1,000 because there's 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer, and that's going to give me my number of meters. So when I do that, 3 times 1,000 is 3,000 meters. So looking on the worksheet, I can see that there's only one correct answer for this problem, so 3,000 meters is my answer for this problem. You can pause the video now and record your answer. Alright, so then for our next problem, it would be the other part of that first problem. So it's going to say which measurement is equal to 30 meters. So looking at this, I circled in orange which measurements we're going to be using. So since I'm starting with 30 meters, I know that meters can go smaller or larger. So for this problem, I'm going to start from the top and I'm going to convert meters to centimeters. So if I'm going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, I'm going to multiply. For this problem, that's going to look like 30 meters times 100 centimeters is how many centimeters? So if I was doing this, I would type in 30 times 100 is, and you can also use power of 10. You're adding 2 zeros onto your 30, moving that decimal place 2 places over, and I can see that my answer is 3,000. So I can see that 3,000 centimeters is one of our options, so I would select this as our answer. You can pause the video now and record that on your homework assignment. Okay, so for our next problem we have how many pints are equivalent to 3 gallons? So I marked this right here. This is where I'm going to be starting in my chart. I can see that 1 gallon is equal to 4 quarts. So first, I'm going to have to figure out how many quarts I have in 1 gallon before I can figure out how many pints. So I know I'm going from a larger unit of measurement to a smaller unit, so I'm going to multiply. 3 gallons times 4 quarts per gallon is 12 quarts. So now that I have quarts, I'm going to figure out how many pints I have. I'm going to take 12 quarts and multiply that by 2 because I can see in my chart that there are 2 pints in 1 quart. So I know that I have 24 pints. So for this, that means that there are 3 gallons is equal to 12 quarts or is equal to 24 pints. Our answer is there are 24 pints in 3 gallons. You can pause this now and record your answer on your assignment. Okay, so for our next one, we're taking 2 units of measurement and we're trying to add them up. When you're adding 2 units, you have to have the same unit when you're adding, otherwise you just can't add them up together into 1 unit. So I circled what I needed for this one. I circled that 1 foot is 12 inches. Feet are larger than inches, so larger to smaller we multiply. I'm taking 3 feet times 12 inches per foot, and I get 36 inches. Now that we have our answer for our number of inches in 3 feet, we can put that back into the original problem. So now 3 feet plus 7 inches is now it's 36 inches plus 7 inches, and that's going to tell us how many inches we have total. So if I take 36 plus 7, I get 43 inches. You can pause your video now and record your answer. Alright, so for our next problem it says 2 gallons minus 5 quarts is blank quarts. So I know the first thing I'm going to be doing, I'm looking at my chart, I know I'm working with gallons and quarts. Going from gallons to quarts is like larger to smaller, so I'm multiplying. I set up my problem as 2 gallons times 4 quarts per gallon gets me to 8 quarts. So now if I set up our problem with this, I know that the problem becomes 8 quarts minus 5 quarts equals blank quarts. So to find your answer for this problem, take 8 and subtract 5. You can pause the video now to record this on your answer sheet. Our next problem says 5 pounds minus 38 ounces equals blank ounces. Looking at this, I know I'm going to have to switch my pounds to ounces so that I can solve this problem. Pounds to ounces is going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, so I'm multiplying. 5 pounds times 16 ounces per pound gets me to 80 ounces. So now my problem becomes 80 ounces minus 38 ounces equals blank ounces. To record this answer, you take 80 and subtract 38. You can pause to record this now. Our next problem is 60 centimeters plus 4 meters equals how many centimeters? I can see my answers in centimeters, so I know I need to switch my meters to centimeters. Meters to centimeters is going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, so I'm multiplying. 4 meters times 100 centimeters per meter equals 400 centimeters. So now my problem becomes 60 centimeters plus 400 centimeters equals blank centimeters. So to get your answer, you're going to add 60 plus 400, and that's your answer. You can pause the video now to record this. Our next one is 2,000 meters plus 5,000 meters equals how many kilometers? So this one's different because both things we're adding are actually the same. So I'm actually going to solve this a little differently. I would just add the meters first to see how many we have all together. 2,000 meters plus 5,000 meters gives me 7,000 meters. Now I'm going to convert that into kilometers. So I know that kilometers is the meters to kilometers is going from a smaller unit to a larger unit, so I'm going to actually divide. So for this one, I take 7,000 meters and I divide that by 1,000 meters per kilometer, and I get my answer. So for this, you're going to punch in 7,000 divided by 1,000, and that gives you your answer. You can pause the video now and record that. For the next problem, we have 1 liter minus 150 milliliters is how many milliliters? Sorry about that, my phone's going off, guys. So for this one, I have liters and milliliters, so I know I need to switch my liters to milliliters because that's what our answer is going to be in. Liters to milliliters is larger to smaller, so we're multiplying. I have 1 liter times 1,000 milliliters per liter is 1,000 milliliters. So the problem becomes 1,000 milliliters minus 150 milliliters equals blank milliliters. So to solve this, you're going to subtract 150 from 1,000. So you're going to do 1,000 minus 150, and that will be your answer. So that's the end of our first online lesson. You can make sure you're recording your answers and you're submitting that on your Google Classroom assignment. Turn it in so we can grade it. If you have any questions, please email one of your teachers and we'll get back to you as soon as we can or during our next available office hours. Once you complete this assignment, spend the remaining time working on your iReady diagnostic and complete the survey that goes with it to let us know how you're doing. Great job, guys.